Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to Friday, the 20th of March 2026. Time's currently 2:25 p.m. So about 45 minutes left of trade today on another red day for the market. So 3 down weeks in a row, and I wonder why that is. So I won't talk about anything to do with that. Although it looked like tech was going to have a good day. It was up for most of the day, now in the red. Resources having another pretty bad day. Okay, so I'm in between night shifts right now. And when you're in between night shifts, you tend to be a little bit more fatigued and tired than you usually are. And when you are fatigued and tired, you tend to get a little bit grumpy, annoyed more easily than you usually do. And I'm absolutely annoyed with Superloop right now. Absolutely livid. In fact, I'm trading Superloop because the chart looks pretty good. And I'm thinking of getting out of that trade simply because of the lack of respect that Superloop is having to a new customer. And that new customer is me. That potential new customer is me. And I'm getting annoyed. So I'm just going to tell you what has happened. So I got an Opticom box installed in my house on Wednesday morning. And the guy who installed the box, because this is not NBN, it's a private whatever, I have no idea. Anyway, so you need the Opticom box instead of the NBN box. So the Opticom box guy who installed it said, just give Superloop a call, tell him this box has been installed, and you should get service, fairly quickly. So I actually did give Superloop a call. I said the box has been put up, and the guy actually said to me, well, you should have service within a few hours. Yes, within a few hours. Then a few hours came and gone, so I called again later that afternoon. So the box was installed in the morning, and I then was informed, no, he should have said within 24 hours. So he's a little bit mistaken. It doesn't happen straight away, within 24 hours. So then the next morning, 24 hours had come and gone. So I gave him another call, and they told me, no, that was a little bit of a mistake as well. It's not within 24 hours, it's between 24 and 48 hours. And then I was informed you'll have internet access by 5 a.m. on Friday morning. So 5 a.m. has come and gone. It is now 2:27 p.m. Still, my service has not been activated by Superloop. I have put in complaints. In fact, a few complaints with Superloop. I thought that would have forwarded this problem. Nothing. I even mentioned that if this is not rectified by 5 p.m. today, which is just under 3 hours, I will complain to the telecommunication ombudsman. And if that does happen, apparently, just complaint, Superloop will get a fine. They will get a fine. And that is why I thought I should say or mention that in my complaint, because I thought that would put them into action. So we're talking about going from a few hours to within 24 hours to 24 to 48 hours. And now who knows how long? Who knows how long? So a little bit annoyed with Superloop. And I'm annoyed with myself as well because I was dealing with this after I came back from my night shift, and it took about 2 hours, and I went to sleep. And after 2 hours of sleep, I actually looked at my phone just to see if I got internet access. But instead, I got a message from the delivery service that is providing or delivering my new table, which cost $1,200. And it was going to be delivered today. I went, as soon as I saw that, I can't sleep. I can't sleep now. I'm waiting for the delivery. And that happened about 15 minutes ago. So still annoyed with Superloop. And the whole reason I'm annoyed is because I don't get the best reception here, phone reception in this room. Now, if I put my phone to the front of the house, I get really good access or service. So, but I want the phone with me and when I'm recording. So again, I apologize if it's slow today. Time is 2:29. So hopefully kids are still in school, so it's not going to be slow. I've just got to change my mouse settings. There we go. Okay, so another negative day for the market. 3 bad weeks in a row. No end in sight right now, even though we're getting some nice fuzzy feelings from some of the leaders of this war, I suppose you can call it. So oil retreats on US and Israel comments. So Trump said no, he's not considering deploying ground troops. And Besant noted that the US exploring the removal of sanctions of Iranian oil. And Israel mentioned that they will refrain from further attacks on Iranian energy facilities. Okay, there you go. And it's interesting because US exploring the removal of sanctions of Iranian oil. So they're getting a little bit desperate. Or maybe US and Iran are becoming chummy. Who knows? Maybe it's going to end soon. Maybe Trump is right. The end is in sight. Other than that, not much in macroeconomic news apart from maybe Bank of England holding a rate steady at 3.75% because of inflation risk, which is, well, I shouldn't say a no dirt, but that's probably the right thing to do. Hold rate steady at this stage. No point increasing. RBA. No point increasing at this point in time, in my opinion. Okay, so the agenda for today's video, which I should have done earlier, is I'll go through the ASX today, have a look at the best and worst performing sectors, indices, and companies. No top 5 stocks of the day. And the main reason behind that, I went through the announcements before I started recording. I was trying to find 5 companies to speak. I couldn't find anything. So 42 events, and a lot of these were just nonsense events like prospectus, pause in trading. The Viva Energy one's okay, I suppose. What else? What else is a nonsense? Just any trading hold, quite a few trading holds. Dividend distribution. Who cares? Except for those who want income from Atlas Arteria. I will talk about Atlantic Lithium. That is in my top 3 stocks of the day. Yeah, top 3 stocks of the day today. Premium Investments released their half-year results, and the other stock of the day is a company listed on the, I can't believe, it's either NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. I can't remember. MU, I'm assuming this is just based off the ticker. It should be NASDAQ, yeah. The only reason I said that is because it came up here. Okay, so we talk about Micron. They released results the other day, and I thought they were really good. And the share price actually went down. So I'll discuss that company in today's video as well. Okay, so onto the market today. And it's been a bad day. But I suppose, relatively speaking, not as bad as what we have seen the last 3 weeks. It's not down by over 1%. But tech was up for the majority of the day. There looked like there was a nice little rally at about midday or so. Little rally, a small rally in the XAO and XJO. And if we turn our attention to the best and worst performing sectors and indices, healthcare has had a really good day. And that has been led by CSL and Sigma Healthcare, if I remember correctly. In fact, since I'm not doing a top 5 today, we can actually confirm this. So CSL and Sigma Healthcare, the 2 biggest companies in healthcare, of course, it's going to be slowed out. The 2 biggest companies in healthcare were up between about 2 and 3%. And that is why healthcare has had a good day. And unfortunately, that's all we need to know, how slow it is. And this is why I'm getting annoyed with Superloop, because apparently when you do use Opticom, their services, internet is really quick. I got confirmation that from a colleague of mine who actually does or is in a new development near here, and he says, yeah, Opticom's so quick. Wow, it's like, wow. Anyway, and it's a big difference between what we're seeing here, which nothing's happening. There's just nothing happening. So there we go. Finally got top losers up. Top gainers is up. Maybe it was a little bit of some kids leaving, school and all on their phone going, oh, what's the latest YouTube? No, they don't look at YouTube. What's the latest TikToks? I've got to look at my TikToks. Scroll. I can't live if I can't scroll my TikToks. Anyway, so healthcare, if we list this by market cap, you notice that by far the 2 biggest companies in this are CSL and Sigma Healthcare, and both up. In fact, Sigma Healthcare up 4%, CSL up 2.57%. Can't believe CSL is below $140. Wells. And you can see the next 5 biggest companies are all down. So really led by CSL Sigma. And I just noticed Telix Pharmaceuticals, another really good day. And if we actually have a look at this chart for Telix, we're talking about an over 3-month high, maybe a 4-month high for Telix. And it is looking like we're starting to see a shift in sentiment and a trend in the share price of this company. I probably want to see some confirmation, but I was confident yesterday because yesterday's share price of Telix was up on a pretty bad day. So this is a nice looking chart for Telix. Go Telix. Maybe that can be number 5 stock of the day. Yeah, Telix is a number 5 stock of the day. Why not? Just because of the chart. I'm a little bit biased, and I'm allowed to be biased. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's have a look at other best performing sectors. Energy, utilities, and telecommunications all up. I'm assuming Telstra has had a good day. Woodside maybe up. Coal, I'm pretty sure coal's had a really good day based off the little I know. So I'm assuming that. And a pretty bad day for materials, industrials, and financials. So probably banks are down a fair bit. Yeah, banks down 1%. And Staples having a negative day as well. So defensive companies down as well. So that's probably Woolworths and stocks like that. ASX 200, no, 20, sorry. XTL down 0.79. So worse action in the bigger companies today. So better action in the smaller companies, although small caps down 1% as well. So really, it's been tech that has sort of been our savior today. In fact, I'm going to have a look. I should have done this earlier. So the lead-in for Wall Street wasn't that bad. So NASDAQ down 0.24, Dow Jones down 0.44, but Russell 2000 was actually up 0.65. So maybe we should have expected small caps to have a good day. And in fact, the futures are up. So why are we performing worse today? I don't know. So maybe it's the international indices. Oh, Nikkei down 3.38. I didn't see any of that mentioned. Oh, yen rebounds on hawkish Bank of Japan bets. So maybe that's why they're down. Something to do with that. There you go. So maybe that's why we've had probably a little bit worse day than I expected because of what's happening in Japan. Anyway, so ASX 20, I've yabbered on enough that this could have loaded. Yes, it has loaded. 6 companies up. Now, funny enough, 14 down, 6 up. The 2 best numbers in the calendar. 14th day of the 6th month. And it's not because that's Trump's birthday. Yes, I'm born on the same day as Donald Trump. That's terrible. Oh, jeez. Donald Trump, Steffi Graf, Boy George. That's all I can remember right now. Born on my day. 14th of June, 2020. Yeah, I was born in 2020. I am 26 years old this year. Okay, so 6 companies up, and those companies, we already know Sigma Healthcare, CSL, Aristocrat having a pretty good day. Coles, which I would define as being defensive. So obviously, Woolworths are not having a good day. Woodside and Goodman Group. Telstra actually down. I thought maybe that would be up. And on the flip side, pretty bad day for Rio Tinto, NAB, not surprising there, BHP, and there's Woolworths having a pretty bad day. Okay, let's move on to the top gainers, which I've already got up here. Hopefully, market cap is working. No, it's not working, just like yesterday. Okay, so the best performing company today by percentage change, COSOL up again. So COSOL was up yesterday a fair bit. Let's have a look at the chart. I don't think this chart is going to look really good, not like Telix. Yeah, it's just, I think this was oversold and this was just a bounce. In fact, when we saw the share price drop a fair bit on the 25th, down 30%, there was a bounce the next day, 25%. And that bounce did not last very long. So this is, I think, just a bounce, an oversold bounce. I wouldn't be that excited about COSOL right now, even though it's had a pretty good 2 days. Anything of else note here? So a lot of these companies are fairly small and not much volume. Lodestar Minerals, go Lodestar, up 17.65. So this was, I think, on the cusp of breaking out. This was my stock of the day. I think it was my stock of the day. What day was that? On the 18th. So that was Wednesday. Oh, second stock of the day, number 2. I'm pretty sure I had a really big day and go trading view. Yeah, I actually do like this chart. I'm going to say that right now. I like this chart for Lodestar Minerals. Definitely a possible. So the few things I like here. So we've seen that really good rally on Wednesday. Share price pulled back a little bit yesterday, which is understandable. You're going to see a little bit of selling pressure on those days, the days after a really good day. And then another good day today. That's a confirmation that things are moving in the right direction just based on the chart. But the thing that really strikes me is the volume, the really big volume coming in. So there is a lot of interest in Lodestar right now. So potential trade, I'm saying, at 2 cents. I might take a position in Lodestar. Hint, hint. Yes, I've already taken a position, by the way. Yeah, so anyway, I should be fully transparent. Where were we? Top gainers, that's right. Anything of note here? Yeah, the volume there was pretty big. That's pretty big volume. Anything of note here? There's Cosmos. Go Cosmos. It's not an interstellar exploring company. I've got to tell you that over and over again. You just don't believe me. Osmond Resources. I wonder if Donny Osmond founded that company. And Atlantic Lithium, I will talk about Atlantic Lithium. They did release an interesting announcement. Well, not that interesting, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So no... There we go. So let's have a look at what I'm going to do here. We'll go into the XAO and have a look at the best performing companies. There we go. So we know there's a little bit more stress on the phone system because it's slow right now. And I actually did get confirmation yesterday that more likely the reason why the phone system gets slow, or whatever you want to call it, at this point in time is because kids are leaving school and they're all on the phones. Anyway, so let's have a look at the best performing companies today or in the order is. Let's do that. And Imricor having a good day. Metal Powder Works. Stanmore, that's coal. Novonix having a nice little bounce. Talga, what's that? Cow Plus. I completely ignored IFN. I'm trying to remember what that is. And RNU, Infragreen. Oh, that's a new listing. And I had a look at this company about a month ago. I think that when they released results, and I went, nah. And RNU, I think, is Renocor or something. Yeah, Renocor Resources. Okay, anything else here of note? Nothing. Tivan did release something today. Maybe this could be number 4 stock of the day. Tivan, why not? Tivan. So they did release something today. So we'll talk about that company. Oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Should not have clicked on Tivan. Oh, it's going to be really slow now. It's only up 4%, so I think we can move on. Okay, so that's the top gainers today. Nothing much to talk about. It's been a fairly slow day for the market. In fact, I went through the announcements before I started recording. I was just trying to find some interesting announcements. So fairly quiet day. It says 42 events, but a lot of these events were nothing. Announcements like trading halts. Quite a few trading halts today. Quite a few placements. You see that almost every day, but nothing much to talk about. Prospectus, who cares about that except maybe shareholders, equity raising. Premium Investments did release half-year results, which I'll talk about as it is the stock of the day. Okay, so that's all when it comes to top gainers. Now on to top losers. Oh, a hit from the past, or maybe not a hit, a blast from the past. Marino & Co. down 29% on $1,000 of turnover. Someone just needed to get rid of the shares. They couldn't handle it anymore. Sell $983 worth of shares because they probably bought at $1.50. So they've made a massive loss. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't handle it anymore. Market 4.52. When this company's share price ran up to $1.50, I had a look at it and went, oh, there are some massive red flags for this company. This was back in maybe late to middle 2024, late 2024 maybe. When was this? Yeah, late 2024. Yes, the share price ran up to $1.50. Now it's 8.5, and I had a look at it and went, there are some massive red flags about this company, and I won't discuss any more. Yes, I won't discuss any more. Australian Bond Exchange Holdings, again, low volume. Iron Road, low volume. Sunrise Energy Metals. I did not see this company release any announcements. Did I miss one? Did I miss an announcement from a company? Share price down 17% is pretty significant if they did not release anything. Now, maybe the share price has been on a run, and this is just some profit taking, and this could be a trend killer event, maybe, if they release something negative. So let's have a look at Sunrise Energy. I'm thinking that more than likely they didn't release anything. No. More than likely, this is a little bit of profit taking. So let's have a look at the chart and confirm this little hypothesis of mine. You have to confirm hypotheses. You just can't believe it without any confirmation or any information. Okay, so, oh, it looks good, but this goes up until February 19. So up until February 19, this is a pretty good looking chart, but this is 1 month ago. So a lot can happen in 1 month. So let's have a look. Oh, there was a big red day on the 24th of February, down 27%. I think I remember that. And oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So I thought maybe this would be a share price had run up and maybe a bit of profit taking. This is a collapse. This is a breakthrough support level, sell sort of signal. And I would say traders on top of this maybe. That is why we've just seen selling today. So no news, selling. And that's a bit of a negative move. Now, we have seen a little bit of buying. So share price was down even more than this at one point today. Share price got as low as 560. Wow, 560. So share price was down 30% on no news. The volume hasn't been that big. So a lot of pressure on the share price because the share price fell through support on open, and that added to the pressure. So if you're trading this, you would have said, get out straight away. But we have seen a little bit of buying. So maybe a bit of recency bias. So people are thinking, well, the share price of this company was $11 not long ago, so it must be really good value now. It has to be really good value if it's dropped from 11 to 660. I'm going to buy. Okay, so let's move on. Not surprised to see Australia's oil and gas, although I thought maybe there would be more gas companies here if oil is down. Most of these companies are fairly small. Marimarka is big but low turnover. That's it. That's it. Let's see if not working. So let's have a look at the XAO again. XAO. I'm just going to see if I can get this to work. I'll just refresh it. Maybe the kids have just stopped scrolling through their, I was going to say ComSec. Stop scrolling through. Imagine that. Instead of scrolling through TikTok, kids are scrolling through ComSec. Oh, how my company's performed today. That'd be awesome. Anyway, so no, it's still fairly... Oh, we got action. We got action. Okay, so top losers today by market cap. Greatland Resources is down 7.98%. I'm pretty sure that's a recent gold company, and that's not surprising. The chart was looking good for a while and has really turned negative. Now, this sort of reminds me of back in October. So share price of this company did fall a fair bit and then rallied nicely. Gold is starting to look a little weak. I had a look at gold chart earlier in the day. Even though gold is up, we did see it fall a lot. Now, the good thing is we did see gold rally when it got close to a support level. So that support level is around 4,400. Gold got to about 4,500 and rallied. So maybe this is the end for this little dip in gold. Maybe. We'll just say maybe at this point in time. We need confirmation again. And otherwise, yeah, a few gold companies here. Don't know why Micron's down. But there is nothing here. Well, someone's trying to call me, but I'm going to continue. If it's important, they can leave a message. Brisbane Broncos, no shock there. In fact, Brisbane Broncos share price should be 0.000000001%. If you're a Brisbane Broncos fan, I apologize. But my team beat you last week. And that should give you a clue who my team is. Okay, so I think we can move on. But actually, let's see if top gainers are working. Just have a look. Top gainers by market cap. Maybe the kids have stopped scrolling through TikTok. And, Korea. So getting a little bit different information here. So Tourism Holdings, Korea, nothing too much. Terracom. Terracom has gone on a really good run. So again, I think Cole's had a pretty good day based off Terracom, Stanmore, yeah. I think we can move on to the top 4 stocks of the day. Let's find one. Let's find one announcement to talk about so we can have a top 5. 1, 2, 3. I do have 5 here. I've got Pro Medicus, Micron, Atlantic Lithium, Telix Pharmaceuticals, and Tivan. I forgot about Telix Pharmaceuticals. So I've already talked about that. So again, let's put Telix Pharmaceuticals as number 5 stock of the day. I'm a little bit biased with this one, so let's go back to the chart for Telix Pharmaceuticals. And yes, it's a pretty good chart. And so I think I talked about this the other day. So it's now gone above the previous highs we saw back in January. And now the share price is at, we're talking about a 3-month high. And I do like to see share prices of companies getting to a 3-month high. Now, I do prefer 6-month high. I think that's a little bit more powerful. Now, what we don't have here is like a moving average crossover. But the very fact we got above the previous high means the downtrend is coming to an end. There's a chance that downtrend is coming to an end because the definition of a downtrend is lower highs, lower lows. So if you keep seeing it, in fact, if you go back through history here, we just keep on seeing lower lows and lower highs. So this is the first time we've seen now a higher high. So during this downtrend. So things are turning around for Telix Pharmaceuticals, and that is all I'm going to talk about. And we've seen the company release some good announcements. Now, I'm a little bit biased here as well. I think the company has been releasing some positive announcements, and I think the negative sentiment is starting to shift. The trend is starting to change. So I do own Telix, and the question I have now for myself is, will I be willing to trade Telix right now? I'm at that point. The other thing is, I followed this yesterday. The market was down a fair bit. Telix was actually up. That's another good sign. There's a little bit of positive sentiment or a shift in sentiment for Telix. Okay, let's move on to company coming in number 4. We have Tivan. Share price up today, and they did release something. I don't know what they released, but I do remember looking at Tivan and going, oh, they released something. Nice, let's move on. So it must have been that exciting for me to have a look at. Just take your time, ComSec. I've got all day. Wish I don't, because I'm working tonight. Oh, that's right. Feasibility study for Speewah fluorite project. I'm not opening that up because it's 138 pages long. Anyway, so share price is up 4%. Approval of feasibility study for Speewah. I thought you'd get approval before you do the feasibility study. It looks like they've got the results of the feasibility study, and they're saying, well, at least we got approval. I thought they would release this first. I'm confused there. Feasibility study for the Speewah fluorite project in WA has been approved by Tivan's joint venture. Okay, so they did the feasibility study, and now they're saying the joint venture is approving it as being true or right or just or great or I don't know. As a result, the joint venture partners have confirmed their intent to proceed with the tranche 2 $5 million equity investment in the joint venture company. Funds will be used to progress the DFS for the project that is underway. Australia's first fluorite mining and processing operation to produce acid-grade fluorspar calcium fluorite, or above 95% calcium fluorite, for export into global markets. Okay, so one of the reasons I noticed this announcement in Tivan is just because the chart is looking really nice, or had been looking nice. So let's see if there's been any pressure on Tivan over the past few weeks, like a lot of other mining companies. And yeah, it has been. So share price has pulled back a fair bit from 48 cents down to 31. This could be a buy the dip situation. But before that, the chart was this was a beautiful chart. So if you come here, that's a beautiful chart. But eventually beauty must come to an end. Everything beautiful dies. Everything. The universe is not, well, maybe the universe is infinite. I don't know. So I'm the only immortal person that's ever existed, ever will exist, and I will see the end of the universe, and I don't know what I'm going to do after that. It's going to be pretty boring if the universe does end. Maybe there's multi-universes. I have no idea. Anyway, so could be a nice buy the dip. I don't know. Market cap $680 million. If you know more about Tivan, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave your thoughts in the comment section of this video. Coming in at number 3, we have not Almonte, Atlantic Lithium. So I remember talking about this company would have been a few days ago, and I remember saying it's A11, not AII. Almonte is AII, and share price of the Atlantic is up 14.29% on parliamentary ratification of EYR mining lease. I more than likely have not pronounced that well. I'm going to say Ghana. This is in Ghana. This is in Ghana, and I know that because I actually did look at this announcement. As I cheated, I looked at this announcement earlier before I started recording, and it's a parliamentary ratification of their project in Ghana, and I can definitely understand why this has excited the market just a little bit. Company's flagship EYR lithium project by the Parliament of Ghana. Go Ghana. I'm pretty sure you have a pretty good soccer team, I think. Anyway, I did not know this. Oh, the royalty. Yeah, that's probably important. So the higher spodumene price, the higher the royalty, which is a good thing to do by the government. The chart for Atlantic Lithium does look interesting, I suppose. It's not the worst looking chart. Share price had pulled back and now it's jumping up. So maybe that was a time to buy on that little dip about a week ago. In fact, on Monday, share price went to 24 cents, now up to 35. So chart doesn't look bad. The thing I really like about this chart is the volume. So price action can be quite, up and down a little bit, but the volume has just expanded and continued to expand over the past 6 months. So it really started in September. That was a breakout. And even though the share price went sideways for a while, the volume remained high, which is a really good sign. And then we started to see volume increase a little bit, some spikes in volume, share price started to go higher. And 2 of the last 3 days have been the biggest volume days we've seen out of the last, during the last year or so. Go Atlantic Lithium. Okay, company coming in at number 2. We have Micron. Yes, Micron. So I am a shareholder of Micron. Now, Micron released results the other day, and because there was nothing much on the ASX, I thought I'd talk about Micron. I'm a little bit biased because I do own Micron. In fact, on the last results 3 months ago, I bought more shares in Micron because I thought their results were out of the water good, and the market agreed with me. This time, I thought their results were out of the water good, and on this occasion, the share price went down, which was a shock. Now, Micron is a manufacturer of memory, computer memory, not memory like in our brains, and data storage. So that's what they're doing. So a lot of positive tailwinds in this space, and their main product is called DRAM, which is dynamic random access memory. So short-term working memory that allows computers and servers to process tasks in real time. So fairly relevant when it comes to what we're seeing in the world right now. On to their results. So I've got the website right here. So Micron is the invisible layer powering AI. So a lot of people believe you should only invest in companies that you have knowledge in. What do they call that? I forget what they call that. I don't agree with that, because if I agree with that, I wouldn't invest in no companies at all, because my knowledge in any company is fairly limited when I compare it to the CEO of the company. Anyway, so that's Micron. By the way, if you really want to know more about a company that's listed on the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, go to their website, and they have an investor relations page. And I actually do like investor relations pages. And it opens up a new website here for Micron. And it just gives you the most recent announcements the company has released. And there's nothing that I have found that is similar to the ASX releasing all the announcements. I haven't seen that when it comes to something similar in the United States. But anyway, so Micron released the results in the second quarter on March 18. You can have a look at their presentation, that sort of thing, press release, Form 10Q. But I'm talking about why I thought these results were impressive. So I actually did write it down because I had to go searching. Well, I cheated here. I didn't go searching. I used Gemini. And Gemini does this really well. All I asked it was to show me the results of Micron compared to analysis or Wall Street expectations, and it gave me a nice little table. So, for instance, revenue came in at 23.86 billion. And why not? Let's confirm this. So sometimes I don't do this. I don't confirm. Which one should we look at? Form 10Q? No, we'll look at the press release. Powered by Akami. So revenue of 23.86 billion. Yeah, that's exactly right. So Gemini say revenue was 23.86 billion. Wall Street estimates were 19.2 billion. Now I do know this is accurate because I actually did research this when they released results because I'm a shareholder. So their results significantly beat expectations. So revenue 19.2 billion expected. They came in at 23.9 billion. Earnings per share expected to be $8.79. Came in at $12.20. Gross margins expected to be around 60%. Came in at 74.9%. Did not find any expectations when it came to free cash flow, but free cash flow came in at 6.9 billion. Not only that, the growth in the past year has been, not only past year, quarter on quarter has been significant. We're talking about a revenue going from 13.6 million to 23.9 million quarter on quarter. And compared to this time last year, revenue has almost tripled. That is right. The other thing I like about this little announcement here is they break up the business into the different sort of divisions. So cloud memory, core data center business, mobile and client business, and automotive and embedded business. And I like that because I can see how each division is performing and growing, and they're all growing quite nicely, in fact. Yeah, really nicely. So this company isn't just in this one little division like data centers. They're sort of diversified, I suppose. Anyway, so they also have provided expectations here. So, and that is even more important. How did their guidance compare to expectations? The other thing I should mention is DRAM had revenue of 18.8 billion, so it's 79% of total. So you could argue they're a little bit concentrated just in DRAM, but NAND is one of the other products, $5 billion. Also, they increased the dividend by 30%. But here is where it gets interesting. So their guidance, now it becomes even more interesting because once I finish talking in regards to results and how it compares to expectations and the guidance, you might think the share price has gone up. It actually went down. which is probably the biggest shock here. So revenue projected to be 33.5 billion, plus or minus a little bit. That far exceeded expectations. And we're talking about a 50% beat on expectations. So expectations were 22.8 billion. Earnings per share expected to be $11, coming in at 19.15. So that's adjusted. They've got diluted earnings here. And gross margin is expected to be 81%. And I couldn't find information on, well, Gemini couldn't find information on expectations when it comes to, what do you call it? Gross margins. So let's have a little chart for Micron, and you might be shocked the share price actually dropped. Now, the share price did rally during the day, and this is actually a pretty good looking chart. This is actually pretty nice. So the share price was at a record high the previous day. So, so just for full clarity, I initially bought Micron. When was it? Yeah, perhaps. Oh, almost 2 years ago. So $108, and then I added on the most recent results. So in December, 275.45. For me, this was a classic breakout. That's the reason why I added to it. And in fact, this is something I should be doing more. A company I own, when I see a breakout, beautiful. It's not a classic breakout because share price hadn't been going sideways, but share price got to a new all-time high. And then the share price actually did fall. Now you see a really good one-day candlestick. So there was a lot of buying coming in, but the share price was down 3.78. And I wanted to know why. And the reason I got was the primary reason for the share price dip was a $25 billion capex plan for 2026, fiscal year 2026, spending heavily on new fabs in Idaho and New York to keep up with AI demand. AI, this is a quote from the CEO, Sanjay, can't pronounce the last name, Mehrotra. The primary, where is it? AI hasn't just increased demand for memory, it has fundamentally recast memory as a defining strategic asset in the AI era. Anyway, so that's Micron, and I'm glad I had the chance to discuss it because I was fascinated with their results and how good they were compared to expectations, and then the market reaction. I found that fascinating. Okay, stock of the day is PMV, which is Premier Investments, the worst named company on the ASX, and we're in the closing auction. You notice the indicated price is down 7.95%. That's manipulation happening in the closing auction. That is the very definition of manipulation. So a lot of these sells will be pulled. So there's probably a big sell. Let's have a look at the orders. So this sell at 11.23, 312,000, I think there's a big chance that's going to be pulled. That is manipulation. The share price will not drop 7.95% from where it is now. I'll be shocked. I'll be flabbergasted. So that means I have to keep on talking for another 8 minutes. Okay, this is really interesting because when Premium Investment started trading, share price was up a fair bit. And we're talking about almost 10%, I think. It was definitely 8%. Maybe got as high as 10%, and now the share price is down. So this is interesting. This was a beat. So if you have a look at the numbers, which one should I have a look at? We'll have a look at the half-yearly counts. If you have a look at the numbers, it looks fairly weak, right? It looks fairly weak, but these were beats, and that's really important. So we're talking about revenue down 1%, or total revenue up 3%, and profit down a fair bit. But even though it's down a fair bit, this was a beat. And if you don't believe me, again, I use Gemini to get this. Now, I did have to ask it to change the way it gives me the information, but it put it in a table that was too large, too long. Anyway, so their statutory profit, 101.7 million, was a beat, though the expectations were that profit would come in at 99.3 million. So that's actually good. They're doing better than expected. Exactly what you want. Retail EBIT in line with expectations. Group sales, slight miss, just a slight miss. And interim dividend, 45 cents, which was stronger than expected. And that's also important as well. Okay, so why is the share price down? Why the share price rally? By the way, what we'll do now is we'll have a look at the chart. We'll have a look at the 1 minute chart. I really want to prolong this so we can have a look at what the share price closes out for Premier Investments. I might open up the presentation as well. I'm trying to remember where I got the information from. Anyway, so we'll go back to summary. And we're going to see if this particular bid at, what was it, 11.23 is going to be pulled. So if the share price does close down another 7.95%, that would be shocking. Okay, let's have a look at the chart. 1 minute chart for Premier Investments. By the way, the daily chart looks terrible. A little bit of buying coming in on open. So this is retail investors going, ooh, better than expected. In fact, the buying lasted for about 40 minutes. The high came in about 40 minutes into trading, and then the selling came en masse. Look at that share price just collapsing like there is no collapse. Okay, so what do I think happened here? Okay, so Premium Investments now has two brands. Yeah, brands. We'll call them brands. They have Smiggles and Peter Alexander. Now, Smiggles had been growing really well for a decade or plus, and Peter Alexander has been growing for probably a decade plus and is still growing. So, what we see here is even though some of these announcements or these results were a little bit better than expected, I don't think I was looking at this announcement. I must have been here. No, it couldn't have been this. It must have been the presentation. It must have been this. I must have looked at this. And no, it wasn't this. Okay, so Peter Alexander is still growing. So sales up 4.9%. You can actually see the last, for some reason, they've included the last 8 years. So sales have gone from $130 million to 312. You might say sales have started to slow, and I actually do sort of agree with that. And the question becomes, how much more can they expand through this country? They're growing in New Zealand, but do they have any expectations of growing overseas as well? Probably not at this point in time. I don't think they would have much of a sort of brand recognition or a moat over there, unless Peter Alexander is worldwide liked, which would be hard to, whatever word I was going to use, hard to think they would be well known overseas. Now, Smiggle has been growing, but sales 140.5 million, down 10.7%. And this is actually the thing that drew me in. I thought, gee, Smiggle's not doing really well. I've always thought highly of Smiggle, and sometimes your thoughts have to change. Store numbers have been reduced by 8.7%. So a lot of this reduction in sales is because they probably grew too quickly, which is a big mistake. So stores have gone from 309 to 282, or maybe Smiggle, the fad, is just gone. Those who used to go into Smiggle have just now grown up and they don't go into Smiggle anymore. And maybe the new kids coming up just don't like Smiggle as much. They are more worldwide. So stores in Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland, and Singapore. But I'm just going to see if they have the revenue growth. Looks like they're doing a strategic review of Smiggle. But I wanted to see if they had a nice little graph like they had with Peter Alexander. It looks like they don't, which is another bit of a red flag. So I think, based off what I have read, hint, hint, and what I've seen, I think maybe the selling has come in for Premier Investments because of Smiggle underperformance. And by the way, the daily chart for Premier Investments, yeah, it's a pretty bad one. Now, they did divest all these crappy brands, which I won't talk about, and maybe Smiggle has now become a crappy brand. Okay, so let's have a look. We're getting very close to the closing auction. Has that sell been pulled? It has not. In fact, we've got some other big sells at 10.98. Someone needs to sell. This would be one of the first times I've seen a share price of a company drop 8% in the closing auction. I have not seen that before. Now, maybe something happened in the closing auction. I doubt it. But this is intriguing. This could be history. We're talking about history here, people. This could be historic. Company down 8% in the closing auction. Now, there was a very small company many years ago. Oh, what they Silver Chef. Silver Chefs. This is going well back 10 years ago. And in the closing auction, once the share price of that company did go up about 10%. And I had no idea there was closing auctions. This shows you how far back this goes. So that's the only time I've seen the share price of a company go up significantly in the closing auction or down significantly. But that was highly liquid. So it was just probably one person buying when there was no other buyers and sellers. Anyway, so we must be getting close. So at least 30 seconds to go. And that bids haven't been pulled. Those sell bids have not been pulled. Yep, still there. So this could be history, people. This could be history. And it's been pulled. Oh, well, something's been pulled. No, it hasn't been pulled. Something's been pulled because all of a sudden the indicated price has gone down, which is what we see all the time. So although those bids haven't been pulled, so someone else has been pulling bids. But we see this a lot. Yeah, there we go. So its indicated price is now 1.8. This is the definition of manipulation. Someone is trying to force retail investors, I think, to sell shares or buy shares because that's just ridiculous. I thought we were going to see history, people, but we have not. And the closing auction should be any second. We know the closing auction has come to an end when this just disappears, the indicated price. There we go, it's disappeared. And that big sell bid has not been pulled. So it wasn't that. They were dead serious. They wanted to sell shares in Premier Investments. Okay, that is all I have for this particular video. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of the video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who's qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the video. Have a good day. Bye.